Hey guys, Mal the Train Tutor back in the studio and back with another snowy tutorial for you. Yes, we're in the snow playlist with this one and we're back with High Peak Pass. Now this is a 2x2 project I've been working on specifically to show you snow techniques, and I've reached that point. So we've reached this point with the videos. Now when it comes to snowing up buildings, there's a couple of techniques I'm going to take you through. It's not just a matter of putting a bit of snow around your base and sprinkling it on the roof. Yeah, so in this what we're going to be looking at is we're going to be looking at frosting buildings up, we're going to be looking at icicles and adding the deep snow onto the roof and the ledges and that sort of stuff. So there are main three topics we're going to be looking at. But first off, we've got to do frosting. Now you may wonder, what is frosting? Well, frosting is that thing where you get little bits of snow on a building. Basically heavy snowfall, yeah, lots of wind, little bits of snow hit the side of a building, they freeze in place and you get like a white speckled effect. Now it's best doing it before you do any other snow effects because it's incredibly hard to lay it on afterwards, which is why we're doing it at this stage. And this is quite a bit of a challenging build, yeah, when it comes to the snowy stuff. And the reason for that is that obviously we've got lots of overhangs and that sort of stuff. So what I'm going to do is, before we do this now, I'm going to take these roofs off, put them on another piece and sort of frost those separately. Now the actual technique is dead simple. All we're going to do is use white primer. You can use an airbrush if you really want to, yeah, you can get a toothbrush, dip it in some white paint and flick it. But if you're going to do that, you've really got to scrub the brush around and get all the excess paint off it, because the last thing you want is a large blob. Flick it from a distance, yeah, and keep your fingers crossed. If you've got an airbrush, you can do this technique from up high, yeah, and just give it a quick little spray and just build it up as you feel. Yeah, I'm using a spray can. Now a spray can is really effective at this, but the downside is if you get it wrong and you press too hard, yeah, you can really mess up your terrain by putting a big white blob on it. So I've got to go careful. So let me get set up and I will get cracked on with this. So all set up and ready to go. Let me just take you quickly through what I've done. Now I've taken the towers off, and what I've done is I've just covered the top of the towers with a bit of foam board. That's just simply so that when I spray I don't get snow on the inside of the rooms. Yeah. You know it's a bad snowfall if it's frosted inside the room. So I've just put those on, yeah, just to sort of protect it. I've left this tower in place. Ideally I wouldn't, but the structure of the tower, it's a little bit challenging to actually frost up anyway. So I'm just going to leave it in place and do what I can do. And if I have to go in afterwards and touch it up a little bit, that'll be a lot easier than I just feel it'd be better to actually do it in situ and blend it in, yeah, and then go in and touch it up afterwards than trying to do it separately and then bring two pieces that have been frosted together to try and make them look proper. Which is ironic because that's exactly what I'm doing with the towers down here. So if you look at here, yeah, I've got the roofs sort of separated. They're on a little bit of blue foam, so they're raised up. Yeah, and I'll just be giving that a bit of a blast as well. So let's get cracked on. Now, first thing, the most important thing when it comes to frosting or doing any of these sort of spray priming things, spray effects, is on your can you have a nozzle. Now when you spray comes out, but when you stop spraying you get a blob that gathers at that nozzle. When you next come along and you spray, that blob is fired as a big wet splodge and it will knacker your thing. So be very conscious, yeah, of wiping that blob away before you do your next spray. And when you spray, you're going to do very little taps, no concentrated spraying, it's just a little dusting. So yeah, if we come off, yeah, I am nervous. This is one of those stages that if it goes wrong, it's really hard to fix. So what I'm going to do is, to give you an idea, I'll aim at this bit sort of here because that'll be right nice on the camera. So I'm going to hold my can quite high up, yeah, and I'm going to dust. Yeah, keep dusting. That was that blob. That was lucky, it went all over my finger. Look at that. See, wasn't even thinking. Which is why you've got to go careful on these things. all done and dusted, and only a couple of little mistakes. Now immediately you can see a vast difference. Yeah, just from a little couple of sprays, it's already looking a lot more snowy. Yeah, that's how it gives over that impression. But I have made some mistakes. If you notice here and here, yeah, I've had a couple of, a couple of drops from my can. To be perfectly honest, I don't think the spray adapter was fixed on properly. Yeah, so I was getting a bit excessive paint on that one, far more than normal when I do this. So just be wary of that and make sure that your cap's on. And I also did mess up with the actual spray and the dusting in one place. And if you look just over here, you'll notice it's a little bit lighter than everywhere else. Okay, it looks like at some point it's just caught a quick hot spot as I was blasting and moving. It can happen. Luckily it's not too bad. I wiped off quite a bit of the excess with a damp rag at the time before the primer had cured, so that you can do that, and that's okay. And with all these situations, because this is a staging process, we're doing the frosting, we've got the icicles, then we've got the deep snow. All it means is when I get to the deep snow stage, I just know I've just got to cover these blobs over and that little bit with a little bit more deep snow to blend it in. Now the frosting isn't completely even all the way around. It's a little bit stronger on one side than it is on another. And at the minute that's slightly more identifiable because you can just see the frosting evenly over everything. Well, it's not even, but you can see it over everything. Once the deep snow goes in, that'll break all the panels up and all that sort of stuff, and it'll break the frosting up and it'll look a lot better. Okay, so overall, very happy with that. Hope you are too. Right, we'll come back when it's time to do what's next. Is icicles next. So I'll see you when we do the icicles. Now all our major frosting is done using a spray can. But if you've got buildings that are going to be in deep snow, you can get quite a bit of snow built up next to them, and you need to replicate this. Now, you can stipple this, you can use a toothbrush, but the best way is with an airbrush. And you can see what I've been doing along here, just basically frosting in this line. You would do this around the base or wherever you're going to have big snow build up on the base of the building. And it is literally just a matter of coming along and with an airbrush, just frosting it out. And that'll help with the transition line between where you've got your deep snow and your building. Remember, you only need to do this if you're doing it in deep snow. If it's more of a light snow, then you won't get this heavy frosting around the bottom where snow gets blown up to it. Yeah, so this is an optional extra. Right, I'll get this rest of this frosting done, and then we'll crack on with the rest of it. Now that our buildings are all frosted up, yeah, it's time to add the last little bit before we add the snow on the roofs. And that's icicles. Yes, quite common with buildings, very common with cliffs and overhangs or anywhere where you get snow on top. It melts, water gathers to drip down, and then it freezes, yeah, as it drips, creating icicles. And there's a whole host of ways of creating icicles. You can get clear acrylic, melt them and stretch them. You can actually buy icicles on a strip and just break them off and glue them on. I'm going to be showing you an easy technique using, yeah, silicone. This is clear, silicone sealant. The stuff you use in your bathroom. And very quickly, if I bring that up, yeah, you can sort of see I've got a blob on there. Now what I'm going to be doing, and this is dead easy, yeah, I've seen a lot of people do this straight from straight from the tube. Yeah, I'm not that brave. Okay, but all we're going to do is, we've got the silicone on here and I've just got a little spatula. Yeah, and I'm just going to get myself a blob. Yeah, and then all I'm going to do is I'm going to come along and wherever, here we go, nerves as always, first one. Yeah, wherever I want to put an icicle, all I do is I touch it up and I pull it down. Yeah, and that will give me icicles. Now the benefit of using this silicone to do this is it's actually flexible, so they won't break off if they actually get knocked or anything like that. They're a little bit harder than normal stuff. So all I need to do is just go along, blob up, pull down, blob up, pull down. Every so often get your blob, make sure that you sort of like re-blob it. Yeah, each time you do it, you spread your blob out, and when you push it back up, it'll go all over the place. So you just need to control where your silicone is as you're doing these. So just simply come along, push up, pull down. Now you can get really good with practice, and depending on the size of the blob, how hard you push up and how far you pull down, you can make some quite large icicles. So if we do a nice large one up here, yeah, that didn't work, try again. Better. And there we go. Dead easy icicles. Okay? It is simple as that, but you will need 24 hours for these to dry before you put your deep snow on. Don't attempt to put your deep snow on until these are cured. Yeah, so my next job with this little beastie is I've got this. I've just got to sit along and just start putting icicles all over it. Yeah, pretty little icicles. So I'll get that done, and we'll come back to the buildings once we've got once we're in a position where we're ready to snow up the roofs and finish them off. So we've done our frosting, we've done our icicles, and it's time to snow up our roofs. Come on down. Right, as you can see, I've got one of the roofs here, and I've got a bit of a mix. Now this is, the basic mix is 9 parts acrylic filler to give it some volume, yeah, and then 1 part, white acrylic paint, just to make it, just so it moves a little bit better, just to water it down a little. Then what I did is I added a ton of my snow flock, and for my snow flock, I'm using this. Yeah, this is 1mm white, static grass, nylon fibre. Okay, 4-gram Sealant snow flock, so that's what I'm using to snow up this scene. Okay, now when it comes to doing your roofs, couple of principles you need to follow. Now roofs in snowy environments back in the olden days, they were always quite steep, approximately 60 degrees for a roof in a snowy environment. The reason being is any sort of lower and the snow will sit on the roof, increasing the weight of the roof, and back then it could bring the whole roof down. So whenever you see a snowy environment, your roofs have got to be quite, steep, which is what works with this. So Mel's going to grab a chair and bring you down here. So we've got our building, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to apply my snow flock along these ridge lines and mainly along here. Okay, it's going to basically slide down the main areas, the middle of it, and it's going to sort of cling to the corners and cling to the edges. Okay, so with this stuff, it's just a matter of coming along, stippling it in where you want it. I've got to be quick at this, so yeah, that's where I'm at right now. I'll very quickly stipple the rest of it. So that's all stippled on now. I haven't done anywhere else on it. Don't worry, we're just doing the main snow on it first. So very quickly, pull across a sheet. Oh. Yeah, and then very quickly get my sieve with my snow flock in. Yeah, and just give it a dusting. Now I've done it on the top as well. Give it a good shake off. Yeah, and that's what we're left with right now. Okay, this isn't the finished technique. Yeah, we've got to do another layer on that after this. So I'm going to do these, get the other ones done, and then I'll come back when we're ready to do the final bit of frosting technique. So our snowy roofs are done, and they are looking nice, as you can see, but it's time to finish them off. Now, because I'm using an acrylic base sort of compound, there's no soak through like watered PVA, so it'll grip where it touches, but it won't grip what's on top. I'm using a nylon static grass, which is quite on toppy, quite powdery. Yeah, so I need to seal it all in. And for that, we got hairspray. Yes, I always keep a can in the studio. Don't laugh. Yeah, and all we're going to do, and it's sort of a two-part process. We're going to frost these buildings up and seal them at the same time. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give them a spray, but as I'm spraying, I'm going to be shaking this sieve so it carries this static fibre onto the building and seals it in with the whatchamacallit. So, right round it. And there we have it. It's as simple as that. Now, the good thing about hairspray is you can keep coming in and pouring it on and sealing it, but once it's gripped, this will hold it pretty damn well, to be truthful. Just let me grab that a little bit. Yeah. And once it's properly set, you'll be able to come in with a proper spray varnish and seal them up completely. So that is snowing up your buildings. You want some pics, don't you? Give me a second. Don't they look beautiful? Yeah? So there you go, guys. 3 simple techniques to make some awesome snowy buildings. You got the frosting technique using a spray can, airbrush, or even flicky with a toothbrush. You've got the icicles using the silicone. And then finally, you've got the snowy roofs and how to fix it in. And I've got to say, she does look beautiful. Okay? And it does bring it all together. So, as always, I hope you found this video useful. And as always, if you've got any questions, get them in the comments. If you've got any tips for me, get those in the comments as well. I'm always interested in learning new techniques. And as always, guys, if you really do like this content, then you can support the channel, yeah, via one of the links on screen or one of the links down below. Whether it's Patreon for $1 a month, yeah, to keep the lights on, the cameras rolling, and me in here producing this stuff, or just a one-off via PayPal to say thanks, or a gift for the studio via the wish list. All of it helps me stay in here producing content and helping you with your hobby. So if you'd like me to help you more with your hobby, please consider helping me, eh? And in the meantime, I'm going to say ta-ra, and I'll see you soon. All the best, yeah? Ta-ra.